All right, they did it. MPC XL. Let's talk about that unit. Just dropped today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's cool. I know that a lot of people, and that's the thing about the internet, there's always like a shift. Like there's always people saying, well, watch out for this. And no, it's actually pretty cool. So let's just talk a little bit about the specs, and I'll talk about what I think about it. So the first things first is that I have to admit that I was wrong in that the MPC Live III was not the flagship. This XL is, and they really took XL to the XL with it and made something that is definitely larger than the X. And the X itself is not a small piece of equipment, so I can only imagine how large the XL is. And I was just looking at some numbers and just did some research, so let's check it out. So the MPC X is 19.9 inches wide, and the XL is 21.4. You know, it okay, 16.7 inches deep that way, and 19.2 on the XL. So definitely, just by the numbers itself, I don't have to, because pictures don't really tell the full story, right? It looks, you have to really just look at the numbers. 8 cores, same as the Live III, 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is double the Live III, 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which is also double the Live III, when it was at 128. And just to think about how far this platform has come, we have to think about the fact that the MPC Live II, or the original Lives, only had 2 gigabytes of RAM with 16 gigabytes of internal storage. But I have to ask a question. Are we really using terabytes of stuff? I think some people are, if it's all they use, which kind of brings me to my next point. I think that this is a great device if you don't have a ton of other stuff. And that because it's so encompassing all by itself that it doesn't make sense for someone who already has virtually everything, unless they just want to add to their collection. It comes in at about $3,000. That's not bad for that. I think that a lot of units are costing that way for that range. That's the top tier thing. And I know people who want it are going to get it, who got the means, they're going to get it. And it doesn't mean that the Live III is bad. I think that it's cool either way. I'm sort of indifferent between which platform is best. I can't tell you which platform is best for you anymore. I think the best thing I can do is just educate people on how to use the darn thing, or how to use the Live III, which is what I do have. And the most inspiring thing that I saw from this was watching Teddy Riley cook up on it. That's what sold it to me. The thing is, if I could go back and reflect on how Moog did the sub fatties, what sold the sub fatty to me was seeing the bass synth legends on it, like Stevie Wonder and Bernie Rohrer, if I'm saying that name right. They both were playing that live, that Moog sub fatty back when Moog was doing that, you know. So I think seeing Teddy Riley jam on that was probably the key thing, just to see the joy on his face, and it just. And I think that's something we have to think about when someone using it. Here's what it was for me. Watching him use that made me want to use what I have. It didn't necessarily make me want to get the XL. It made me want to cook on what I got, because like, oh, that's cool, I could do that too. And that was probably the most inspiring thing about it, seeing him talking about the songs and just seeing them cook up. We don't really get to see our legends cook up like that, or the people we really look to or admire, like for example, like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. We don't really ever get to see them work, right? And I'm jealous of guitarists, because guitarists, I mean, you get to see them play, right? But production is a lot of times done in closed door, and we're in a world today where you have to turn on the camera to, why am my camera doing that? You have to turn on the camera to film your content as you're cooking. But these guys like Teddy, a lot of times the magic was done behind closed doors. You couldn't really see what they were doing. So to see that was actually a pretty good thing to see. So again, at the end of the day, I think it makes sense if you don't have a lot of stuff. When you're full, it doesn't really make sense to get it, but I can see the appeal of it. You know, it's the flagship. And I can appreciate Akai sticking to the hardware. I think they're putting more emphasis on their hardware than the software. We haven't seen too many updates on the software. I did see a post from someone else doing an update about the software. But to me, like in the year of 2026, because of all the new sounds and plugins and capabilities that are coming into the MPC line right now, it makes more sense to just kind of run it standalone and just enjoy that ecosystem right there that's fast and responsive, which gives you a different experience from the desktop. There's so much more there's so much distractions on desktop, like I've said that a million times. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it looks cool. Definitely like to try it out one day. And, you know, I'm excited for the inspiration and the creativity coming out, which comes to the base point of all this. It's good that they have great equipment coming out, and it's good for all that. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing to do is to make music with it. So I hope that whoever has one in their hands, that it doesn't sit there, that they put it to good use and just make magic happen. All right, those are my thoughts. See y'all guys in the next video.